We're going to dive into the mailbag tonight. We're really excited. We've had like two questions? I think it's two questions tonight.
Yeah, two
The
really
first
good
one,
questions tonight.
they are really good questions, and they actually, a couple of them caused me some real brain trouble. So we're gonna get into it. The first one, I'm going to read this from Nick Lorenzo, part of our baseball family on 9 Plus Us VIP groups on Facebook. He asks, does this record, now he's speaking about Randy Arozarena's 9 homers in a single postseason, that record, but we're going to expand upon that. Does the record deserve an asterisk in a year when every postseason game has been played in a warm climate within the so-called bubbles instead of the team's home parks? Certain factors have been removed. No crowd pressure for visiting teams, not having to deal with cold weather, which deadens the ball, and the same for the same field dimensions for the entire World Series. And if you take all the, I love this. If he says if you take all the elemental factors out of it, then they might as well be playing Xbox.
Now,
Man, Nick,
real quick,
that's
let me
perfect.
respond to that last part of the end there real quick. Is that I will say video games are so advanced that they do actually take into account like location. Like
Yeah,
your
but
game's gonna
only as
screw
of the
you if you're
last
playing on the road,
3
and it just
years.
happens. What's that?
Only as the last 3 years is that the case, though. 3 to
I don't know,
5.
man. I've been playing games for a long time, and I feel like even like last time I played NCAA football was in like 2010, and I remember going on the road of some of those games and being like, "Yeah, that's not physics. That's home field advantage going against me, is what that is."
Yeah,
Um,
okay,
and
yeah.
the
Some of
show
that
has that down
exists.
pretty good too. So,
Do they? I haven't played the
so
show yet. I've got the other one. What are RBI?
oh yeah. No, I feel like the show had it down pretty good even in 2009 when I played it last. So
Hmm.
it's
Okay.
a real thing. It's a real thing.
But still, I mean, he brings up a good point because you do have
He does.
control over all of that in an AI scenario, right? Like in a game,
Mm-hmm.
you can say, for this is the weather I want, this is the climate, this is where I want the game to
Mm-hmm.
be played, and he's right. So, what do you think? What do you think, Brad? Is this closer to Xbox? Do we need asterisks on the end of these
Well,
records? Because this is not the only record being set.
no, it's not. And I mean, because last night in Game 5 he set the record for most hits in a postseason, and there are more to come because he's got at least one more game, and
Yeah,
I don't think he's
exactly.
gonna go over because he doesn't. But
No.
this is my thing, is that if you want to put an asterisk on this, because there's gonna be an asterisk on the season anyway, because in 30, 40 years when people are looking back on the record books, be like, whoa, why are they only 20 and 10? Like, what happened there? There's gonna be an asterisk describing pandemic season,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Right.
And I think that's sufficient for any asterisk that goes on the season, um, because this is the thing that the players have to do. This is all they can do is they can play the hand they're dealt. Nobody else has 9 home runs. Nobody on the Dodgers has 9 home runs. Corey Seager has 8, but nobody else on either of these teams have that many home runs. So yes,
Right.
he set a record playing more games in more controlled environments. Um, but I mean, the Rays, they'd be playing in warm climates anyway the whole time. They played the Astros. I don't even
Yeah.
remember who they played the first 2 rounds, but they played the Yankees, right?
Yeah.
So
I think
so
I
there
don't
would
even
have been a little
remember. I
bit
don't want to
colder
talk
weather
about it.
games there in New York. What's that?
I said I don't even want to talk about it. I'm
But
just
there would have
teasing.
been a little bit colder weather games there than there was in California, in Southern California.
Yeah,
So
that for
I'll go
sure.
with that. But generally speaking, I feel like the Rays are playing teams where they would have been playing in warmer climates anyway,
Hmm.
and I don't think it would have affected it that much. But that being said, too, pitchers are throwing harder in warmer weather.
They are, and they can. I think
Arm stays warmer longer.
that's
Ball
right. They
flies
can
a
last
little bit better
longer.
out of your hand even.
Yeah,
Sorry,
more
go ahead. I keep
break.
cutting you off.
No,
Hmm.
you're right. We're saying the same things. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry, but no, I don't think there should be any asterisk attached to it, because like I said, everybody's playing in the same the exact same circumstances. Nobody's done the same thing, and you have to play the cards you're dealt. Because if we're going to asterisk this, then Babe Ruth hit. I mean, we can go back to this. He hit 60 home runs in a season that was 150. I've got it right here.
154.
154 game season.
Yeah.
And then Roger Maris goes and hits 61 in a 162 game season.
Right.
So he's got 8 more games to hit 1 more home run, and he did it. So you would have to put an asterisk next to that 61 as well. And then
they do socially.
And see, that's the thing is like, if you're going to put an asterisk on it socially, there's so many more because, yes, the Astros have an asterisk next to their 2017 for cheating. I feel like that's more deserving an asterisk than this postseason.
Oh yeah. Please.
So, I don't know. I get where he's coming from with it, but I don't feel like there should be. Right?
Okay.
What say you?
Well, for the sake of entertainment value, would like to disagree with you, but I can't. I feel the same. I feel like we just picked the same favorite hat. I feel the exact same way. It's going to be one of the things that gets buried. I don't think of Roger Maris's 61 home run record with an asterisk, but I know because I'm into history that that's how it was perceived back then, certainly, and for a certain amount of time after that. But the generational evolution that the wheel spins, what is it? The wheel wheels as the wheel wills or something like that. That's exactly what's happening here, and it's getting lost in the sands of time. So, are we gonna really look back at 2020 the season and question the records? I think that some of the fans will, some of the fans won't. Will our kids? Probably not. Will our grandkids? Absolutely not.
Right. Yeah, and the other thing too is that when the playoffs expanded from simply just the LCS and then the World Series, or even from the World Series to the LCS, and then you got the Division Series and the Wild Card, like you've added on games there, and the issue has been the value of a division title over the records in the postseason.
Yeah.
That's always been the argument there. Not so much, oh man, that guy's getting to play 5 more postseason games than they got to play in 1992.
Right.
So I feel like it's an argument this year because it's new, but just a few years down the road, it's not going to be an issue, especially since 14-game postseason is likely going to be the case. So it'll be the new normal.
It will be the new normal. So, okay, you bring up a really good question, not part of the mailbag question, but do you think, Brad, that see, you touched on one of my favorite secret topics. Do you think that the value of a division championship, what used to be known as winning the pennant, right? Was that do you think that has gone away?
I don't think it has, and I don't think it will. Because especially with expanded playoffs going forward, there's going to be value with winning your division because you're going to get home field in that first round or a bye. Like there is something to be said with just getting in. The Nats just got in last year. That's all they had to do. They just had to get in, and they went on and won it all.
Yeah.
And so I think there still is value because you're not questioning seeding, because if they give those division winners a top 3 seed automatically, then you're good, right? So I don't know. I've always felt like there's value in winning a division. As a Mariners fan, I'm just like, just get in. I don't even care if you get swept. Just get in. That's all I care about. It could be a wild card. It could be a division title, but I don't know. And it feels like where you're at, as a Yankees fan, you don't want to get in as a wild card. You want to get in as a division winner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah,
So
okay, but
I feel like there's still value to it.
we're speaking about two different things here, and this is where I find it really interesting. You're coming at it from a practical perspective. You're saying get into the playoffs, new breath, new life, magic happens, you never know. And that's exactly right. You're not wrong. But what I'm viewing it as all the flags on the flagpole, right? Like the pride, the culture,
Yeah.
the emphasis on the what used to be a pennant race. Like, do you think that sentiment still exists? I don't think anybody could argue with get in the playoffs. You're absolutely right. But I want to talk more. What do you think? Do you think that there's that's the fans or the teams or whatever? Do you think they value the pennant, the flag, the pride?
I think they do, just because, like, if you've ever been to a major league game and your team has one or two or three or 50, whatever your team whoever your team is, it's cool seeing it. You know, like at Safeco, or sorry, T-Mobile, they have them hanging from the retractable roof,
Yeah.
or or something just below. I don't remember exactly where it's placed, but they're out in right field above the stands. You can see them, and it's cool to see, because I can remember every single one of them. I can look up at those banners and say, yeah, I remember the 95 season. That was crazy. I remember the 97 season. Griffey won the MVP. I remember 2000, 2001, and that's all of them.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yes.
I remember every one of them. Getting to see them is really cool. So as far as that goes, yeah, as a fan, I definitely want my team to win the division, because you want to be able to see those there.
Yeah. Interesting. See, I've always thought that since somewhere in the 90s, and I don't know what happened, but since the 90s, I think that the pennant thing has really died socially.
Well, I mean, it was after the strike in '94. They realigned the divisions.
Yeah.
And they went to, instead of just East and West, they went to East, West, Central, and then they had to bring in the wild card, and that's where.
Well, and I think that's what did it.
That's where that sentiment may have died.
Yeah, and I think that's what did it. Which, let's go ahead and bring it back around before we get into the next question. If we go to two expansion teams, we could realign everything and go back to just a straight pennant race, and that would be magical. It would take a few years to recultivate that tradition, but if it's produced right, if it's packaged well, we could get back to that idea, and then there would be some skin in the game. The way I think about it now is that the division championship, the what do you call it? The league championship, what do you call it? And then all of those are wild card games. Everything. They're stepping stones. They're not achievements in and of themselves. The players feel that way, but the fans are like, "Oh, good, finally, let's move on." Right? Like, you made it past the next thing. It was a hurdle you cleared, but I don't think, and maybe it's society as a, here we go waxing philosophical, but maybe it's our society that we just don't take the time to sit and celebrate the wins. I know I have a hard time with that, but it just doesn't feel as exciting as it should and as it used to. That's all. Okay. I'm done.
Well, how about this? I think you just came up with another episode. If and when they do announce expansion, what would the playoffs look like? Because you can go four division winners.
Yep.
You still got the division series, championship series. And do you expand from there just to water it down a little bit? I don't know.
What?
So I think we've got ourselves another episode with that, because that's a whole new can of worms.
Well, I want to know what this baseball family of ours feels moving forward, and then that will help us build that topic, because you're right, that's really cool. But what do you think, baseball family? Do you think that Randy Arozarena's record is going to need an asterisk? Do you think it deserves one in the record books? And do you think that the next question, that have you lost your sense of pride in your pennant races or division championships? I don't know. I'm just curious. All right.
Me too.
Next question. Do we have time?
All right, so I got this one.
We have time, right?
This was actually texted to me today. Yeah, we got plenty of time.
Right.
This was texted to me by a friend of mine, Greg Curtis. He said, if the Dodgers win, does that change Clayton Kershaw's legacy? As in, he's been pretty bad in the playoffs. Do you think him finally winning one gets everyone off his back? What do you think, Brig?
Yes and no. I think that I think it's a scale. I think some fans will always remember how bad he was, and then we'll all say, "Oh man, we're so grateful he pulled it together." I think that most fans will just leave him alone from now on, honestly, because his curveball's so hot right now, and that's been the problem. Like, where's your curveball, man? You know, and well, it's here. So, I think what will be most interesting is next season. I think that this question cannot be adequately answered until we see his performance next season. And that's tough because what is he, 34, 33?
I want to say he's 33.
I think so. Check that for you. Yeah, so we're going to get into kind of a sticky situation with his capabilities next season anyway. I don't think he's going to retire, but I think that we're going to have a diminished Clayton Kershaw for next season anyway. And maybe we wouldn't. Well, maybe not, because we have a very different scenario this season, and his arm might have some new life next season that he wouldn't have if he'd gone a 162 season and then all this far into the postseason. So I don't know. I don't have the trigonometry to figure that out in my brain. But what I'm saying is, I think next season will be the crucible, the true measure, and his legacy will be solidified after next season, not this one. What do you think?
Okay, so first off, he's 32. First off,
okay.
But okay, so I want to compare him to another Hall of Fame pitcher because I do think Clayton Kershaw will go to the Hall of Fame.
Well, yeah, he just broke the record for postseason strikeouts.
Yeah, because he's been there a ton of times, just like this other guy.
That's right.
Greg Maddux, heard of him? So, Greg Maddux was on this amazing Atlanta Braves team that okay, so from this, he wasn't on this team the whole time. He joined the Braves in the 93 season.
Yeah, something like that.
But in 91, they lost the World Series. 92, they lost in the World Series. 93, they lost in the NLCS. And then 94, there was no postseason because of the strike. And then 95, they finally won the World Series.
Yeah.
And I've actually been thinking about this Braves team a lot, seeing the Dodgers go in and play the Rays. Because the thing that the part of the reason the Braves won that World Series is because, and I felt this for, 25 years now.
Yeah.
I felt like the Braves went into that World Series and they were by far the better team. That the Indians were way overmatched, way in over their head, ended up going 6 games just because sweeping in a World Series is tough.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I felt like I was like, this is the year the Braves finally get it because the Indians are not going to beat that team. And they didn't. The Braves ended up winning. And then the next year they lost the World Series to the Yankees.
Yep.
And then, they lost another World Series before, and it looks like in 1999.
Yep.
But they were contending every single year until 2005.
Right. And 2001 was the kind of the last hurrah, and then it went downhill, right?
Yeah. They lost the NLCS to the Marlins, and then they were NLDS after that. And then in 2006, they didn't make the playoffs at all. But that team feels a lot to me, at least at this point, like the Dodgers. Shall we compare?
Oh, okay. I hadn't thought about it this way.
So the Dodgers, they went to the World Series in 2017, lost to cheaters. Went to the World Series in 2018, lost to cheaters. 2016, they were eliminated in the NLCS by the eventual champions, the Cubs. Right?
Yep.
So, to me, and then even 2015, let's see. They lost to the Mets in the NLDS.
Yep.
Okay, and then 14 made the playoffs. 13 lost in the NLCS to the Cardinals. It goes on. Like, this is a team that's been making the playoffs for a long time, and they are due to win a World Series. And I feel like the Dodgers are just the Rays are overmatched. They're in over their heads against this team. And the Dodgers are finally going to get it this year. This is the year they're going to get it. And Clayton Kershaw is pitching the postseason of his life.
True.
Let me finally get to my point. Clayton Kershaw is pitching the postseason of his life. He could go down as one of the greatest regular season pitchers who struggled in the postseason, much like Greg Maddux, but that will only tarnish his legacy a tiny bit. And the fact that he's pitching the way he is right now will help that. It will be in his favor. Be like, well, yeah, but he's part of the reason they won that 2020 World Series despite everything.
Yeah.
So I feel like this will actually help him. I feel like it will improve his legacy, that people will look back, oh, well, they lost the Astros in 2017 because they were cheating. They knew what he was throwing.
Yep.
Yeah,
that'll always be there.
I think that will be a big thing. That'll always be there. That'll be a big thing going forward. So I think it'll help. There will still be a little bit of a caveat because of his postseason history, but that will help erase that a little bit. So that's my long-winded way of saying that.
Very good.
But
thanks for bringing the history in there. That was a really cool parallel.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad you liked it because it was very long-winded, much longer-winded than I wanted it to be.
But it was
anyway.
really, you're right on the money. Hadn't thought about it that way. That's cool.